This parable is about financial management. It's about money. So it might help for us to know what kind of money we're talking about. How much money were we dealing with here? The mina, as I have recently learned, that's not the correct pronunciation. That's my South Georgia pronunciation. I've been saying minas all this time, and the actual pronunciation is mina. But I can't say that. I can't go there, Rebecca. It makes it sound like I'm speaking French. Mina. So probably something like mina is what I'm going to attempt here. But looking beyond that, what are we talking about? We're talking about both a weight of measure and also an amount of currency. And trying to balance the two of those and try to get a present-day value for this money so that we can better understand just exactly what's at stake here. Well, a mina, or a mina, was about 1.25 pounds, which would be 20 ounces, okay, and as a weight. As currency, it was the equivalent of 100 drachmas. Now, the drachma was the Greek currency that then became the denarius under the Romans, and it was considered the standard amount of money for one day's wage for a worker living comfortably. Not the lowest and not the highest, kind of the middle class working wage of that day. 1 drachma, 1 denarius per day. Okay? So, switching back now to the weight of measure. If we consider a mina of gold, if we were to take the 5-year average for the price of gold today, it would be somewhere around $1,300. It's about 12 something now. But if it was $1,300, then that would make a mina of gold worth $26,000. That would be the value of 100 drachmas, making the value of one day's work $260 before taxes. Not too shabby, a decent working wage. So if a mina is worth around $26,000 in today's market, imagine if someone walked up to you and handed you $26,000 in cash and said, grow it, invest it, do something with it. Well, that's a decent amount of money. What if it was a friend of yours, a family member? What if your supervisor or your boss took company assets along those lines or greater and said, here, I want you to work with this and see what you can do with it? How would you feel? How would you respond? Would there be excitement? Maybe a little nervousness? Maybe a little fear? What temptations might you face? And most importantly, what would you do with the money? Well, these are the kinds of questions that these servants in this parable had to deal with. Now, ultimately, they did not all answer in the same way. But here are some of the principles that we can glean from this story about financial management. Number one, we are stewards of God's resources. That's just so basic, but it's very clear here. Like the servants who received from their master, you and I, along with everything on this planet, will always be in a dependent relationship when it comes to God. Everything that is necessary for life comes from God. If it is essential to support and sustain life, it comes from God. If we are blessed beyond the necessities, the abundance comes from God. And therefore we are all accountable to God with what we do with these resources. That's what it means to be a steward. Just like these servants were stewards of their master's resources. So that's the first principle. Secondly, God values and rewards risk-taking investment. The servants who got out and did something with their money, it's pretty clear in the parable, these are the good guys, all right? And the guy who sat on it and didn't do anything with it, he's the bad example. The guy that we want to learn not to be like. Don't be that guy. Third, God values and rewards an attitude of abundance. The heart of this parable is really all about attitude. The faithful servants believed in the goodness and the generosity of their master. The sorry servant, well, he had another view altogether. For Christians, an attitude of abundance is a powerful statement about our faith in the true nature of God, who we believe God really is. It is the opposite of what author Stephen Covey calls the scarcity mentality. The idea that life is a zero-sum game where resources are limited and they do not grow. That was the view of the wicked servant. He thought that the pie was only so big, so he better guard and protect his piece of it. He did not trust the partnership offered to him by his Lord and his master. He did not believe in their ability to work together to make the pie grow. He even questioned his master's motives, cynically suspecting that it was all a big setup, just designed to make him fail, and that he was going to get it in the end. Well, some people today question if God is even real. Many others, understandably so, looking at a world with so much pain and so much disorder and so much injustice, wonder if there's a God out there, how can he be good? And sadly, like the servant who covered his mina and pushed it away, many have chosen to put faith aside, that it's not worth it to ignore it. But if you and I ever wonder or worry about the abundance and the goodness of God, if we ever wonder about the resources available to us through God, all we have to do is look at the cross of Jesus Christ. Jesus died there for all of us. And when it comes to God's love and His grace and His mercy, there is no scarcity. We do not believe in a God where there is scarcity and limited resources, and we better get ours and hang on to it and not let anybody else have it. When it comes to the love and grace of God, there is abundance. A grace so abundant that every sin that you and I have ever committed, every sin that every person on the face of the earth today has committed, every sin that has ever been committed throughout human history, all of it can be erased forever through the grace of Jesus Christ, who gave His life and shed His blood on the cross. There's no scarcity. And even more wonderful than that, it's not just an erasure of all that's past, it's a restoration of all that was lost. Remade in the image of Christ. No, there's no scarcity. There's no limit to the resources. There's no limit to what God can do. That's the God we serve. That's the message of this parable. So clearly this story is about more than just principles of financial management. The context here in Luke 19 is Jesus preparing to enter Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. The crowd is cheering, "Blessed is the King who comes in the name of the Lord." They're clearly stating, "You are the Son of David. You are our King that we've been looking for." And by telling this parable, Jesus is agreeing with him. He is clearly stating that He is the master in this story. He's the one who gives gifts for us to use and grow. He's the one who encourages risk-taking faith and investment, believing in God's abundance in every area of our lives, including, yes, finances. And He's the one who promises one day to return and justify all books and celebrate all that has been accomplished. This was the message that Jesus gave to the Jews on that day when He rode into Jerusalem. And it's the message that is still for us, each one of us parable challenges us to look at what we really believe about God. What is it that you really believe about? Not what you say you believe, not just even what we're going to profess a little bit later on when we stand and profess our faith together. What is it in the core of your being that you really believe about God? Do you believe that He is good? Do you believe in His promise and His power to abundantly provide for you and bless you and the people you love? Can you and I have the faith to take risks and to invest ourselves and our resources in the good things that God is doing? Can we hold things lightly, trusting in a God of abundance? Can we believe in God's power to grow these resources that He's given us? It's far too easy to just play it safe. That's our nature. I love and appreciate our staff here at Wesley. We've been doing staff evaluations recently, and there are a couple of very valuable reminders that I've received in this process. First of all, which is something I'm sure most all of you are aware of, I've been reminded that we have a very talented, very committed, very hard-working group of staff members here at Wesley. We are so blessed, and you know that. Those of you who were asked to contribute to this evaluation process, you said that over and over again in your evaluations. Secondly, one of the consistent aspirations that I have heard from our staff in this process is how they long for Wesley to be a church with more risk-taking faith, forward-leaning faith, envisioning our future together with more intentionality and with an attitude of abundance and not scarcity. And I appreciate how they challenged me as their senior pastor to lead them in this way. It's far too easy for us to focus on maintaining what we already have as individuals and as a church. But what we want to do together is be like those faithful servants who took advantage of the opportunity to grow their master's assets, to grow their master's kingdom. I see the same aspiration expressed dozens of ways every day throughout this congregation. As individuals, I see you willing to take risks, doing new things for God. Whether it's going on a mission trip to Haiti for the first time, making a commitment to mentor an elementary school student in an at-risk school, or developing an online service to match children with the best available adoptive parents, or simply walking across the street to invite a new neighbor to come to church with you. You see possibilities. You see opportunities. You take risks and you step out in the abundance of God. The challenge for us is to keep that attitude of abundance as we step into the exciting future that God has for us as a church. Are we really willing to grow? Are we committed to meet the new challenges with an attitude of abundance? Right now, as you probably are aware, we are beyond our capacity when it comes to space for children's ministry, for our youth activities, and for our preschool. Wouldn't it be great to have all our debt paid off by the end of this calendar year, and then to begin 2017 with an eye toward our next strategic plan for growth? Wouldn't that be great? Are we ready to be like the servants who took their money and invested it, worked it, risked it, and then reaped a great reward? I know we don't want to be like that wicked servant who played it safe, did nothing with his opportunity, and then totally missed out on the abundance of his master. That's not how we got to be here as a church in the first place, is it? Our 30-year history in this church is filled with moments of great risk-taking, forward-leaning faith. Many of you have been a part of that. Our stewardship theme this year, as Mike mentioned to us, is rejoicing in God's goodness. It's God's goodness that's always our motivation for giving. We do not serve a God of scarcity. Can I get an amen from this Methodist congregation? We do not serve a God of scarcity. We serve a God of abundance. We live in a kingdom marked by abundance. Our giving, then, when we understand it correctly, is all about investment. We give not because we have to, but because we believe that the kingdom of Jesus Christ is the greatest thing on earth. And we don't want to miss out on that opportunity. We give not because we have to keep church running, but because we have come to know the one who made and runs the whole universe. We give not to maintain what we already have, but to build a springboard into the future that God has for us. And that's why we will prayerfully fill out those commitment cards, bring them back next Sunday. It's simply our pledge to invest as the Lord leads us and as the Lord provides. But in closing, I want to challenge you to think about a couple of things this morning. What dominates your thinking? Is it a scarcity mentality, or is it an attitude of abundance? I realize those are in competition and can ebb and flow like the tides. And sometimes the tide's higher than other times. But what's winning? What's dominating in your attitude and in your heart before God? Is it an attitude of scarcity or one of abundance? Christ is calling us to risk-taking faith, forward-leaning faith. What might that mean for you? What might that mean for us? Let's bow our heads for a moment.